Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán responded to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's statement that, thanks to Ukrainians, he can think about growing his belly rather than his army. Orbán published the corresponding comment on the X network.
Thank you for yet another campaign speech in support of Ukraine's accession to the European Union.
According to Orbán, the statement by the Ukrainian leader will supposedly help Hungarians see the situation more clearly. Let us recall that during a panel discussion at the Munich Security Conference, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that it is Ukrainians who are holding the European front. The President of Ukraine emphasized that behind our people stand an independent Poland and the free countries of the Baltics, Moldova and Romania, which are rapidly developing without dictatorship.
And even a single victor can think about how to grow his belly rather than how to grow his army. In order to stop Russian tanks from returning to the streets of Budapest.
At the same time, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, after participating in the Munich conference, will make a two-day visit to Hungary and Slovakia. These leaders, who often clash with other EU countries, nevertheless maintain warm relations with U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, according to Reuters. It is noted that Rubio will use his visit to discuss cooperation in the energy sector and bilateral issues, including commitments to NATO.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has made yet another cynical statement about Ukraine. This time he accused the Ukrainian military of allegedly posing a threat to Hungary. He claims that increasingly powerful Ukrainian armed forces could end up on the country's eastern borders.
This is not up for discussion. Hungary will not finance, arm, or legitimize a threat to its own security.
Earlier, during a public speech, the Hungarian Prime Minister went so far as to radicalize his rhetoric, calling Ukraine an enemy of his country. At the same time, he complained that Kyiv is urging Brussels to deny Budapest access to cheap Russian energy. Viktor Orbán also criticized the EU's decision to grant Ukraine a €90 billion loan and stated that he does not understand who attacked whom in the war between Ukraine and the Russian Federation. Earlier, the Security Service of Ukraine announced the exposure of an agent network connected to Hungarian military intelligence. According to the SBU, this concerns espionage activities detrimental to Ukraine.
The task of this cell was to gather information about the military security of the Zakarpattia region, to look for vulnerabilities in the region's ground and air defenses, as well as to study the socio-political views of local residents. In particular, to analyze possible scenarios of their behavior if Hungarian troops were to enter the region. Meanwhile,
Hungary is preparing for parliamentary elections and Orbán is doing everything he can to hold on to power. He has framed these elections as a choice between war and peace, portraying Ukraine as a country unworthy of support and his own government as the only safe option. But a new poll, as reported by Reuters, shows that in January, the Hungarian center-right opposition party TISA maintained a 10% lead over Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's Fidesz party.
Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev accused Russia of carrying out targeted strikes on Azerbaijan's diplomatic missions in Ukraine. According to him, Russia is striking not only at the country's energy infrastructure. The government of Azerbaijan regards the shelling of its embassy and consulate in Kyiv by Russia as an overtly hostile act. The president of Azerbaijan stated during the Munich Security Conference on February 14th, according to the Azerbaijani news portal report.
Our official embassy building in Ukraine was unfortunately hit 3 separate times. After the very first strike occurred, we initially thought it might have been a tragic accident. Then, we provided the Russian side with the coordinates of all our diplomatic missions, including the consular section, the cultural center, and the embassy. Despite this clear communication, there were still 2 more targeted strikes. This clearly represents a deliberate and systematic attack on Azerbaijan's diplomatic missions.
The Russian Foreign Ministry responded to Aliyev's remark by saying they were perplexed. They stated that during the war against Ukraine, the Russian army allegedly strikes exclusively legitimate military targets, including facilities of the Ukrainian defense industry complex. At the same time, journalist Michael Nucky believes
Russia deliberately, as we have seen many times, strikes civilian targets, including energy infrastructure. This has been personally acknowledged by Vladimir Putin and is regularly admitted by Russian generals and the Ministry of Defense as well. Therefore, yes, without a doubt, Russia regularly strikes civilian targets. And naturally, Russia makes no exceptions, not for the diplomatic missions of Azerbaijan, nor even for the diplomatic missions of China, as we recall.
In November 2025, Azerbaijan lodged a protest with the Russian ambassador to the country, Mikhail Yevdokimov, over a shelling incident that damaged the Azerbaijani embassy in Kyiv. One of the Russian Iskander missiles fell near the diplomatic mission. During the meeting, the Russian diplomat was reminded that such missile strikes violate the norms and principles of international law and have occurred before. Baku also suggested that these actions might have been deliberate. At the same time, the office of the President of Ukraine reported that on February 14th, Volodymyr Zelensky met with Ilham Aliyev. The head of the Ukrainian state expressed gratitude for the recent energy support, which included generators and transformers.